Hello everyone, this is the finale of What If Naruto Chose Hinata, and I hope you guys enjoy this video and to like, to subscribe, to share, and check out the playlist, to see more comment down below. Now let's start the intro.
They call me a god. They call me a god. They call me a god.
Join my membership, the perks are great. It's in the description. Sakura stood ready upon the now stilled water facing the fourth Hokage. She clenched her fist as he stood looking at her with an unconcerned face. Sakura's brow twitched slightly from the intimidation of facing against a legend. Pakken stood looking on from the rocks on the side. Sakura. Will she be able to do this? Pakken said, then looked over to Naruto, then at Sasuke in the rocks unconscious. Come on, wake up guys. Sakura needs you, he sweated in worry. Come, said the fourth as he moved his finger back and forth to indicate for her to charge him. Sakura, thinking first of her times of being a hindrance to Naruto and Sakura, charged the fourth at top speed and pulled back her fist. Naruto, struggling hard to muster up some chakra, rose his head out of breath and looked on as Sakura charged the fourth. No. S.A. Sakura-chan, he placed a hand down on the water and began to try and push himself up to his feet, but to no avail. Once in range, Sakura pulled back her fist and swung it at the fourth, in which he dodged. The fourth, flipping into the air above Sakura, kicked at her head, in which she ducked close to the water to avoid. After the missed kick, the fourth landed back to back with Sakura. Thinking fast, Sakura turned around and threw a right punch to the fourth, in which he dodged once again by jumping above Sakura. While in the air, the fourth threw a special tag at Sakura's back, in which she activated her chakra scalpel quickly and s it in half before it could make contact with her back. The fourth landed on his feet once more and faced Sakura. Sakura stood facing the fourth Hokage with determination. Naruto lifted his head once more with widened eyes at the rate of which Sakura is fighting against the fourth. S.A. Kura-chan. Sakura turned her head slightly to face Naruto, getting to his knees but stumbling back face first on the water's surface. Naruto. Don't worry. When it comes to fighting for friends. Sakura clenched her fists tightly. I won't lose. She took out two kunais, one with a tag, and threw them at the fourth Hokage. Not concerned with this petty attack, the fourth easily caught the first kunai and used it to deflect the second. Sakura smirked at this happening. Yes, she whispered to herself. The fourth Hokage looked on at the kunai he held in his hand and came to the realization of why she was smirking. The clash of the two kunais flared a spark that ignited the tag of the kunai in his hand. Boom, she said lowly, then suddenly, the tag exploded on the fourth, making a giant smoke cloud fill the area around him. Sasuke, coming to consciousness, awoke to see the explosion. Sakura. She did that, he thought to himself. Naruto lifted his head some, was surprised that Sakura had done it. Good job, Sakura-chan, he said with one eye open still from being battle weary. A couple of minutes later, after the smoke cleared, the fourth Hokage stood unharmed with a neutral expression on his face. Not bad at all, he said to Sakura. I'll say, you're doing better than Naruto and Sasuke. It seems that you are more powerful when it comes to saving your friends. Sakura stood without word, readying herself for round two. I knew that wasn't going to be enough to take him down. What now? She thought to herself. The Yondaime started to walk toward Sakura and reached into his pouch. He took out shuriken and threw them at Sakura, then dashed toward her in high speed. Shocked at his movements, she hurried and took out a kunai to deflect the shuriken, but was stuck in the arm with two of them, making her drop her kunai. She hurried once more and pulled out the two shuriken, then looked for the Yondaime, but he was gone from sight. Where did he go? She thought as she looked around for him. Pakken yelled out to her, Sakura. Below you. He yelled to signify that he dove underwater when she wasn't looking. Moving quickly, she looked down just in enough time to see a fist thrusting upward from the water towards her chin, as Naruto did when he fought Neji in the Chunin exam. Having somewhat of a quick reflex, Sakura leaned back into a backflip, thus dodging the Surprise U-chin attack by inches. She continued her backflip from her hands on the water back to the final flip to her feet on the water once more. That was too close, she said, then began to remember where she saw someone do that. Naruto, he did the same thing to Neji, she thought, remembering how they were similar in the Surprise attack. Suddenly the fourth Hokage disappeared with yellow lightning being left behind. Sakura's face became shocked with fear as she realized he must have a tag on her. She quickly began to try and find it, but it was too late. The fourth was already behind her with a kunai up to her neck. Sakura began to think of how he got a tag on her when she wasn't looking, then realized that he must have thrown one of her back when she backflipped out the way of the Chin-yu. You fought well, but it's over, the Yondaime said to Sakura as he drew the kunai closer to her neck. No, Sakura-chan, exclaimed Naruto, still trying to get to his feet, this time getting to one knee. Gotta, help her out, said Sasuke as he reached into his pouch and pulled out a demon wind shuriken slowly. He quickly snapped it open. Sakura. Duck, yelled Sasuke, emerging from the rocks, then forcibly threw the giant shuriken at the fourth Hokage. The fourth Hokage, surprised to see Sasuke back to his feet barely, moved away from Sakura in enough distance to catch it in time. He then looked on at Sasuke and threw it back at him with even greater force. Pakken yelled over to Sasuke, Sasuke. Watch out. Sasuke, attempting to dodge out of the way, fell to one knee from his damage from the Rasengan, breathing hard. Knowing he couldn't dodge it, he quickly reached behind himself and grabbed his Kusanagi and threw the giant shuriken in 2 pieces. After the shuriken in half, Sasuke fell to his knee tired. That was too close, he thought. The Yondaime looked at Sasuke with a calm expression, whom he knew he couldn't dodge it in time, so he see through it. Clever. Then suddenly his thought was interrupted when suddenly Sakura grabbed his arm and smirked. Never take your eyes off the opponent, she said, then swung him around, then launched him straight into the air. After making the Yondaime go airborne, Sakura flinched from the 2 shurikens on her arm. She quickly formed her hand seal, making green energy emerge from her hand, then placed it on the sea, healing them. Recovering from being thrown into the air, the Yondaime began to fly back downward toward Sakura while forming a Rasengan in his hand. Rasengan, shouted the Yondaime as he fell closer and closer to Sakura. Seeing this, Naruto managed to stand on both feet but then fell back to one knee. Sakura-chan. Run, shouted Naruto. Sakura could only look on in fear at the descending Yondaime with a Rasengan in hand coming at her. Suddenly, a moment flashed into her mind, the moment when she promised Tsunade that she would always do her best and not be a hindrance to her friends anymore. After remembering this in an instant, her facial expression changed from fear to determination as she clenched her fist and pulled it to her side. The Yondaime, once in range, thrusted the Rasengan downward at Sakura. Sakura, ready to strike looking upward, thrusted her right fist up at the Yondaime. Suddenly, a giant gust of gale force winds began to cause the waters to go crazy. The result of the clash was blinded to Naruto and Sasuke as they shielded their eyes from the wind. After the winds down, Sakura flew from the smoke unconscious, going toward the rocky walls in a dangerously fast rate. Just then, before Sakura could hit the rocky walls, Sasuke jumped in the way and caught her into his arms but slid back, making his back hit the rocks hard. Sakura, opening her eyes, looked up to see Sasuke looking down into her eyes. Sasuke-kun, she said slowly as she began to drift out of consciousness once more. Sasuke, managing a smirk, looked down at Sakura unconscious, then placed her down on the ground lightly. Pakken ran over to her. She'll be okay, said Sasuke to Pakken out of breath. Pakken looked up at Sasuke, are you alright? You hit the rocks pretty hard. Sasuke's eyes began to flicker as he fell to his knees, then onto his face. I can't move. I used up most of my chakra to make it in time to catch Sakura, said Sasuke tired. The smoke from the clash began to clear, revealing the Yondaime standing with an unharmed look on his face, but something was different. Naruto became surprised at the sight of the Yondaime. Sakura-chan punched a hole through him. He shouted. The Yondaime looked downward and noticed a hole in him where Sakura must have punched through him. I see, so she was able to dodge out of the way of the Rasengan just in enough distance for her to punch a hole in me, but since she was so close to the Rasengan still, the effects of it still blasted her away, the Yondaime thought. Well, she did pretty good. But it would seem that all of them are at their limits. The Yondaime looked towards Sasuke and the unconscious Sakura with a hole still in him. It's been fun, but this is where it ends, said the Yondaime with a smirk. After I'm done you guys off, I can go back to Orochimaru's side and finish the destruction of Konoha, along with its people. I don't think so, yelled a voice. The Yondaime, being surprised to hear this, turned to his side and saw Naruto to his feet. I won't let you destroy Konoha. I'll fight for everyone, said Naruto, tired but determined. Then an image of a beautiful long-haired Hyuga girl flashed into his mind. I can't S here. I want S here, exclaimed Naruto. Suddenly, winds began to pick up around him, making the Yondaime's hair blow wildly. What is this wind? Where is it coming from all of a sudden? He said to himself. Sasuke managed to look up and at Naruto. This is Naruto, he asked himself like he always did when he saw Naruto do something amazing. Pakken, watching over an unconscious Sakura, turned to see Naruto. Naruto. Quote. Sakura, in her unconscious state, slowly muttered the words, Naruto. Quote. Naruto stared on into the eyes of the Yondaime with fearless eyes. He crossed his fingers in the shape of a plus sign, Kage Bunshin no Jutsu. He shouted, making two clones appear next to him. The Yondaime's eyes widened with surprise. Where is he drawing this energy from? Is he using the Kyuubi? The Yondaime thought. Naruto put out his right hand, then the two clones began to motion their hands above it, starting to form the Rasengan first, the other clone, taking it further. He's doing it, the Yondaime thought. So, let's see what you got, exclaimed the Yondaime as he placed his right hand to his side and began to form the Rasengan. Suddenly, in Naruto's hands, the Futon Rasengan began to form. Once formed completely, he dispersed the two clones and held onto the Futon Rasengan ready to strike. The Yondaime and Naruto stared each other down for a moment, then charged each other while yelling. Once in range, the Yondaime thrusted the Rasengan toward Naruto. Naruto thrusted the Futon Rasengan toward the Yondaime's Rasengan and they both clashed, making a power struggle occur. I won't let you win, said Naruto, shouting in rage as the Futon Rasengan began to destroy the Rasengan in the Yondaime's hands. The Yondaime became surprised at this, then was impaled in the chest by Naruto's finished Rasengan. Suddenly, a wind spiral began to circle the Yondaime's body, encasing him in a sphere of high sea winds that see and shredded the Yondaime's body all over. After a moment of being see up by the wind Rasengan, the blast sent the Yondaime hurling toward the other side of the rocky cavern and crashed him into the rocks hard by gale force winds. As the gale winds raged throughout the valley, it became very hard to breathe. Sasuke began to gasp as he couldn't breathe, then looked down onto Sakura struggling to breathe in her sleep. Seeing this, Sasuke motioned himself over Sakura to block the strong winds from her. Pakken held his breath and shielded his eyes with his paws from the raging winds. Sasuke and Pakken then managed to look on with widened eyes. He did it, they said in unison. Sakura's eyes began to flicker open slowly. After hitting the rocks, the wind Rasengan let off of the Yondaime, leaving his body engraved into the side of the mountain unconscious and battle damaged. Naruto limped over to the rocky side of the valley and faced the Yondaime's unconscious body. He looked closely at him, wondering some things to himself. Suddenly, the Yondaime managed to open his eyes slowly. Naru, too. Naruto continued to look on at the Yondaime. Naruto, I am impressed. You were able to use the finished form of the Rasengan in that condition. Naruto fell to one knee from his loss of chakra and began to breathe hard in maintaining his consciousness once again, his eyes flickering open and closed and his head becoming heavy. I'm truly happy to see the finished form of the Rasengan. I thank you for that, said the Yondaime as his body began to decay from the sea and began to blow in the wind. The decaying began from his feet and began to blow away from him to his knees, then to his waist and chest. I'm proud of you, my son. Naruto lifted his head thinking he heard him being called son, and looked at the Yondaime's head and body finally decay and blow into the wind, being put back to death. Naruto, finally giving in, passed out from exhaustion. Did he call me son, or am I just imagining it? Thought Naruto in a daze of subconsciousness, then finally passed out to a slumber. Pakken looked over Naruto passed out on the ground on the other side of the valley's lake and smiled warmly. You did it. Naruto. Where am I? Naruto stammered as his eyes slowly began to open. His eyes flickered slowly open, then lowered, then slowly opened again. Through his blurry vision of coming to consciousness, he managed to see a warm green glow on top of his body, a warm, green glow of chakra. Naruto. A voice called to him. Having gained full consciousness now, Naruto's eyes finally flickered open widely and looked at the source of the warm green glow. Sakura-chan. Sakura's hands, full of green medical chakra, smiled as Naruto finally came to and deactivated her medical green chakra. Naruto, you're awake. Naruto sat up and blinked as he rubbed the back of his head. How long was I out for? Sakura stood up and helped Naruto to his feet, for about 20 minutes. That last attack of yours must have took a lot out of you. I'm surprised you had enough chakra to do it at all considering all you've been through today, said Sakura. Naruto looked at Sakura then looked at the surroundings, where's Sasuke and Pakken? Sakura pointed upward to the top of the valley at Sasuke and Pakken talking from a distance. Naruto then looked up and saw them then slowly remembered when he beat the Yondaime with the Futen Rasengan. He looked at Sakura with his puzzled fox curiosity look, hey. Sakura-chan. Sakura looked at Naruto, Did you happen to hear, when I was fighting the Yondaime, did you hear him call me, son? Asked Naruto slowly. Sakura looked at him puzzledly, I don't remember. But I think you were so out of it that you were just hallucinating. Naruto looked down then thought for a while. Sakura looked at his face then grabbed his hand, come on, let's get going. Kakashi-sensei and the others need us. Naruto nodded his head and followed Sakura up the valley to where Sasuke and Pakken were in conversation. Back at Konoha. Keep it up, Neji, said Lee as they charged Haku's O of sharp icicles while dodging them. Neji, with his Byakugan activated, nodded then increased his speed which made him disappear. Rock Lee followed suit and increased his speed, making him look as though he disappeared as well. Haku, wearing his Hunter Nin mask, stood ready for anything. He then suddenly placed out both his arms as if signaling for a jutsu. Afterwards, water quickly formed around him from underground and froze instantly, making a rock-hard ice barrier around himself. Rock Lee and Neji, not knowing this, punched at Haku simultaneously only to have their punches stopped by the ice that cracked lightly from their strike. Haku then formed a hand seal, making the crystal ice mirrors emerge around the Junin Hyuga and the Chunin Bushy Brow hard-working genius. Neji and Rock Lee looked around as the crystal ice mirrors completely surrounded them. Wah! What is this? Asked Lee. Be on your guard, said Neji looking around the crystal mirrors. Haku stepped into a mirror and suddenly all the mirrors had an image of Haku. Haku then took out Senbon and prepared to throw them from every angle at Neji and Lee. Neji and Lee's eyes widened as they realized what was about to happen. Neji quickly signaled Lee to get close to him and Lee nodded with acceptance as he got close to him. Suddenly, Haku proceeded in throwing multiple Senbon at the duo in which Neji quickly began to spin, making his palm rotation chakra surround him and Lee while deflecting the Senbon from every angle. Lee stood inside of Neji's chakra spin and watched as the chakra expanded more and more to the point where it slightly began to push the chakra mirrors away. Seeing this, Lee instantly thought of a plan and crossed his arms in the form of a X in front of his face. He then firecly whipped him away, Kai. Unlock, making his skin turn dark reddish brown and making veins emerge tensely. Neji saw Lee transform then looked at what his chakra spin was doing to the mirrors and instantly knew what Lee was up to. Lee then began to run in the same direction Neji was spinning, increasing Neji's chakra spin dramatically and, ultimately, pushing the mirrors away from them. Lee's unlocked Gates' chakra intensely began to crack some of the mirrors. Haku, fearing that they were going to break due to the high chakra build-up, jumped from the mirrors. Neji then stopped his chakra spin and pulled back his arm then thrusted forward at Haku, 8 trigrams, empty palm. He shouted as a burst of chakra shot from his palm and struck Haku, making him fly back from the impact. Now Lee, shouted Neji. Lee nodded in his unlock gate mode, right. He shouted as he then ran so fast that he disappeared then reappeared in front of Haku. He then kicked Haku in the chin, sending him flying upward. Next, Lee jumped up and appeared behind Haku, wrapping Haku in his bandages then pulled Haku toward himself, then thrusting one arm and one foot at him, kicking him downward firecly. Ura Renge, shouted Lee as he then landed on the ground and out of the gate mode. Haku's body then began to disintegrate and ultimately wasted into the wind. Zabuza, still fighting Kakashi and Guy, swung his sword at the both of them in which they ducked it quickly. Guy looked at Kakashi and nodded, Kakashi, let's show him the double dynamic entry assault. Shouted Guy with a smirk. Kakashi, with an anime sweet drop, shook his head. Can't we just beat him the easy way, the way that lets me keep my dignity? Kakashi said with a smile as he rubbed the back of his head. Guy smirked, then stood up straight and gave Kakashi a thumbs up. Kakashi sighed as he gave in and stood up beside Guy. Guy then motioned his hands in the air and came to a stop. Kakashi then followed suit and motioned his arms in the same way, but toward Guy. Then, Kakashi and Guy both dashed toward Zabuza, then flipped up into the air simultaneously next to each other with the same stance. They then extended their feet out and zipped toward Zabuza, kicking him at the same time and sending him flying into a building and making Zabuza's body fade into the wind on impact. Orochimaru extended both his arms, one toward Shikamaru and one toward Gaara, then shot snakes from the sleeves of his arms at them. Surprised, Shikamaru and Gaara both caught the snake as he went straight for their necks. Gaara held his snake in place and suddenly made the sand emerge from the ground and wrapped it around the snake's neck and hardened the sand to strangle it, then kill it. Gaara then sent a wave of sand toward Orochimaru, in which Orochimaru easily jumped out of the way. Shikamaru snapped the neck of the snake and dropped it to the ground. He then formed the Kijimane hand seal and sent it toward Orochimaru. Once Orochimaru landed on the ground from his jump from the sand, the Kijimane shadow connected with his. Yes, said Shikamaru as he then began to struggle to keep Orochimaru still. Hold him still, said Gaara as he made his sand wrap around his body. Gaara then motioned his arm to tighten around Orochimaru to keep him in place also. Kakashi, Guy, Rock Lee and Neji all zipped over to help with the captured Orochimaru. It's over, Orochimaru, said Kakashi with a hand on his hip. Orochimaru smirked as he looked at his situation with no worry. Elsewhere, Tenten, Hinata, Ino and Sai along with a couple Anbu faced off against the first Hokage. Chuji, Kiba, and Shino along with some Anbu faced off against the second Hokage. A couple of Anbu ninjas and other older ninjas fought off as many ninjas as they could and successfully defeated some of them. Orochimaru began to maniacally laugh, still encased in the sand, making Kakashi and the others confused. Suddenly, a resurrected Kimimaro jumped in between Kakashi and the rest and at Gaara with his bone sword. Gaara quickly jumped out of way, but in the act, it made him loosen his grip on Orochimaru, allowing him to escape the sand. Orochimaru chuckled as he jumped on the top of another tall building. Kimimaro will be your opponent now, said Orochimaru. Kabuto then appeared next to him and performed the summoning jutsu, which made Manda emerge wrapped around the building and staring down on the ninjas. Manda looked at Orochimaru. Again you summon me without he said in a mean manner. Orochimaru ignored Manda as he looked downward onto Konoha's last forces of defense. Kabuto looked up at Manda and spoke. Why, Manda, those down there are your I just thought that you'd like to eat them alive rather than Manda looked at Kabuto with his same threatening stare. Do you take me as a fool, boy? I know what this is. Another of Orochimaru's attempts on bringing down Konohagakure, but I suppose it doesn't matter. Alright, I've decided to K these ones, but I expect even more later on, finished the beast snake as it then charged the ninjas below. Taking evasive maneuvers, Kakashi and the others zipped out of the way of the giant snake's strike as it crashed its snout into the ground. As Gaara slid back from dodging, Kimimaro instantly appeared behind him with his bone sword ready to strike. Gaara turned his head and was too late to dodge. Kimimaro thrusted the bone sword forward toward Gaara's back. Suddenly, Karasu, Kankuro's puppet, flew in between Gaara and Kimimaru's attack and got in the place of Gaara. Just then, Temari and Kankuro jumped in front of Gaara and prepared for battle. Gaara turned around and readied himself along with his siblings to fight the Bone Ninja. Hinata continued to fight with the others in fighting the first Hokage. As they charged at him, the first Hokage made a hand seal. Seeing this, Hinata, Tenten, Ino and Sai stopped their charge and waited to see what would happen. Suddenly, 4 tree roots emerged from the ground and wrapped around each of the ninjas. The first Hokage then slowly took out a kunai knife and walked slowly to where Tenten was bound by the big tree root and placed the kunai up to her throat. Tenten began to sweat as she was helpless while bounded. The first Hokage then took the kunai from her throat and walked to where Sai was bound and placed the kunai to his throat. Sai stared into the first Hokage's eyes and struggled to get loose, but to no avail. The first Hokage placed the kunai even close as it touched Sai's neck, but not hard enough to penetrate it. Sai-san. shouted Ino for Sai's safety. Hearing this, the first Hokage took his kunai down from Sai's throat and walked over to where Ino was bounded by the tree root and placed the kunai to her throat. Ino began to sweat in fear as she couldn't do anything but watch as her life was about to be taken from her. Tenten began to try and reach for her scroll but to no avail. It's no use, I can't move my hand, she said worried for Ino. Hinata, thinking fast, motioned her hand and activated her chakra laser and successfully see through the tree root that was holding her. Once on her feet, she quickly dug in her pouch, took out a shuriken and threw it toward the first Hokage's kunai, knocking it out of his hand and away from Ino. The first Hokage turned slowly at Hinata then suddenly charged her. Run! Yelled Tenten, Ino and Sai to Hinata. Hinata readied herself with the gentle fist stance as the Hokage flew in close range. She threw a gentle fist punch toward him in which he easily dodged it. He then threw a punch at her in return in which she blocked it then threw another punch. The first Hokage then grabbed Hinata's arm then formed a single hand seal with his free hand, making a thicker tree root wrap around Hinata and raised her high into the air. Ino, Sai and Tenten could only look up into the sky as the tree root raised Hinata into the air. The first Hokage then performed a couple of hand seals then stopped on one. Just then, the bottom of the tree ignited and fire trailed from the bottom and began to ascend to the top where Hinata was bounded. Hinata looked on in horror as the intense flames shot toward her. Orochimaru looked on at the village-wide war going on from atop a tall building. Finally, the destruction of Konoha is upon us, said Orochimaru to himself. Konoha isn't done yet, came a voice behind Orochimaru. Not as long as the people who is being driven by the will of fire fight and never give up, said another voice. Orochimaru turned around and faced the two people standing behind him. HMPH, so we face off again. Jiraiya, Tsunade. Jiraiya and Tsunade stood together and stared on at Orochimaru who stared back with a maniacal smirk. This time, you're going to S for sure, said Tsunade as she stood with Jiraiya. Jiraiya looked on at Orochimaru with a stern face. Manda continued on with his strikes and everyone continued to dodge them. Everyone, starting to run low on chakra, stopped the dodging and fell tired slightly. I don't know how long I can keep this up, said Guy to Kakashi. Kakashi placed out his hand to try and form a Reikiri but it wouldn't form. I'm running on low, he said referring to his chakra. Manda then chuckled evilly, looks like my prey is getting weary, time to strike. He then dashed his snout once more toward the ninjas. Everyone was too tired to dodge or defend themselves. They braced from the impact when suddenly Manda's attack was stopped abruptly. Kakashi turned his head and saw what made Manda stop. Elsewhere, the fire continued to trail up the tree while picking up its pace and speed to get to Hinata. Hinata began to sweat in worry and horror as she was about to be incinerated. She let out a scream as it drew closer when suddenly. Fuuton, Rasenshuriken. Shouted a voice as a giant chakra shuriken with a Rasengan in the middle twirled and see Hinata free from the tree. Hinata began to fall from the height she was at along with the top of the tree. Naruto jumped up and caught Hinata into his arms then landed on his feet in front of the first Hokage and the others. Hinata, with her eyes shut, could only feel herself in someone's arms, her hands instinctively wrapped around someone's neck. Are you alright, Hinata? Said Naruto. The long-haired Hyuga heiress slowly opened her eyes then looked up at the person holding her, N.A. Naruto-kun. She said with excitement. Ino, Sai and Tenten all smiled in relief for Hinata, Naruto. They shouted happily. Naruto looked over at them all and gave a reassuring smile. Hey there, guys. I'll be there in just a sec, he said getting ready to face the first Hokage. Naruto then placed Hinata on her feet once more and walked in front of her and toward the first Hokage. The first Hokage walked toward Naruto and they both stared each other down ready to fight. Hinata stayed back looking onto the back of Naruto. Guy smiled in relief. You guys are late, he said as Sasuke stood with his Kusanagi out, holding Manda's snout back from the others. Sakura stood behind Sasuke as he struggled to keep Manda back. Sakura, hurry and heal everyone. I'll hold him off, said Sasuke as he kept up his struggle with Manda. Sakura nodded and ran to everyone, starting with Kakashi, and began the healing. Are you guys alright? Asked Kakashi as Sakura finished healing him. Sakura looked at her sensei and nodded with an assuring smile. Yes, we ran into some trouble on the way here. though, she stated as she stood up and helped up Kakashi. I know. We saw Orochimaru send the S4th Hokage, said Kakashi finally standing up. Guy, not as badly hurt as Kakashi, slightly limped over to them. How did you guys get past him? Sakura smirked at Guy's question. Naruto defeated him. After having said that, Kakashi and Guy's eyes widened simultaneously from the shock. Naruto defeated him, repeated Guy. Sakura smirked and nodded at Guy's reassuring question as she went over to him and began to heal the little injuries that he had gotten. Sasuke, still holding back Manda's snout, activated the Sharingan for intimidation. Stand down, Manda, he commanded the giant snake. Uchiha Sasuke, why are you helping them? Aren't you supposed to be Orochimaru's next vessel? Asked Manda. I've had a change in plans. Orochimaru's goals are non-existent and meaningless. I am stronger than him now, so there is no point in giving him my body, explained Sasuke as the struggle between him and Manda ended. I see. As it would seem, I, too, have no goal for this battle. Farewell, Uchiha Sasuke, said Manda as he puffed in a cloud of smoke from the area. Seeing Manda disperse away, Sasuke resheathed his sword on his lower back and walked over to Kakashi and the rest. Good job, Sasuke, applauded Kakashi to his former student. Yeah, Sasuke simply replied. Sakura finished up healing Guy and smiled. There. You should be better now. Thank you, Sakura. I feel like taking down all of Orochimaru's forces now with the springtime of youth. Guy shouted with a gleam sparkle twinkling on his teeth. Don't overdo it, Guy, Kakashi said with an anime sweat drop, then looked over toward Sakura and Sasuke. Where's Naruto? Sasuke and Sakura looked at each other and shrugged, trying to think. Elsewhere. Naruto-kun, be careful. Hinata said in worry for Naruto. Naruto looked into the eyes of the Shodaime. So, he's the first Hokage. This is so cool. Naruto exclaimed, hey Shodaime. The first Hokage looked at Naruto with intent, eyes and kept silent. Naruto, with a big grin on his face, spoke out. I'm Naruto Uzumaki, and I'm going to be the future Hokage, said Naruto, so let's get started. Kage Bunshin on Jutsu. Suddenly, 3 clones appeared next to Naruto. Naruto chuckled as a plan formulated in his head. I'm taking you down, Shodaime. Believe it. As he said that, he placed out his right hand to 2 of the clones, in which they began to form the Futen Raisin Shuriken. What's he doing? Asked Tenten as she, Ino and Sai were still binded by tree roots made from the Shodaime's attack. It's his Raisin Shuriken technique, explained Ino, remembering the time he used it on Kakazu. Raisin Shuriken? Tenten asked, confused. Yeah, it's really amazing. Look, you'll see, assured Ino while they all turned their attention back to Naruto and the Shodaime. It's ready. Naruto hoisted up the shuriken-like technique over his head. Alright, do your thing, clones. Right, Henge. The 2 clones nodded and transformed into windmill shurikens. Alright, clone number 3. Let's get started. The 3rd clone nodded and grabbed the 2 windmill shurikens and threw them with force at the Shodaime. Not caring for such a measly means of attack, the Shodaime sidestepped the first windmill shuriken to dodge and jumped into the air to dodge the second. Naruto-kun, said Sai, looking on at the battle. Naruto-kun, Hinata said, a little worried for him. Naruto, however, smirked on as he looked up at the Shodaime in the air. Taking action, Naruto jumped up after the Shodaime and thrusted forward the Raisin Shuriken attack. Eat this. HMPH. The Shodaime flipped down from the path of the attack and landed back upon his feet, looking up at Naruto still airborne. He missed, shouted Tenten. Behind you, came a voice behind the Shodaime. In hearing the voice, the Shodaime turned around only to be met in the stomach with another Raisin Shuriken technique. The technique swirled violently as it picked the Shodaime into the air and him with fast-moving blades of wind, destroying him and putting him back to death. I see. He missed with the 2 windmill shurikens on purpose. After he dodged them, he turned them back to clones and started making another attack while the real Naruto went after him with a decoy, knowing that a head-to-head with the Shodaime would result in a miss, evaluated Sai. But still, after what happened to him the first time, he has to be in pain now. After the attack ended, Naruto landed back on the ground and dispersed the clones, making his right arm fill with sharp pain. Ah! He gasped slightly at the pain in his right hand. I used it too many times in one day, I guess, he explained to himself in his mind. Hinata, seeing Naruto holding his right wrist, walked up to him and smiled. "En Naruto-kun. Are you alright?" she asked in her normal way of talking to Naruto. Naruto turned to Hinata and grinned reassuringly. "Oh, yeah, I'm fine," he said to her, then took out a kunai with his left hand and walked over to the three tree-binded friends and chipped them out of their capture. "Thanks, Naruto-kun," said Sai with a nod. "Good going, Naruto," said Tenten with a smile. "There's still a lot of ninjas wreaking havoc. Sai, you and Ino cover the east side and K off as many ninjas as you can. There are some Anbu over there as well." Tenten turned her head to Hinata. "We'll cover the west side. I'll go check on Gaara and the others," said Naruto, still holding right wrist. "Alright, let's go," said Hinata, and with that, they all scattered to their respective areas. Elsewhere, "You two failed to K me the last time. What makes you think you can this time?" said Orochimaru as he stared back at Jiraiya and Tsunade atop the administration building of Konoha. Unis will be your downfall, Orochimaru," said Tsunade as she stood next to Jiraiya. "The will of fire fuels all of us who fight to save Konoha, Orochimaru. Something you cannot begin to understand the meaning of. All of us fight to stop you. And we will succeed. Give up, Orochimaru, while you have the chance," said Jiraiya with a stern face. Orochimaru chuckled. "Oh, is that so?" he said with a smirk of evil on his face. "Look around, your precious Konoha is practically destroyed. Buildings tumbled, areas set ablaze of fire, all thanks to my ambition. Konoha is already destroyed." He began to laugh maniacally, filling the air with feelings of doom. "You're wrong again," stated Jiraiya, interrupting Orochimaru's evil laughter. "Oh," replied Orochimaru. "Konoha may be on fire, buildings may be tumbled, but Konoha lives on," said Jiraiya. "Konoha is much more than just buildings and trees and mountains," included Tsunade. "Konoha is the people who go by the will of fire. We all work together to make a better life for ourselves and for others. We care for one another, and that, Orochimaru, is why you will lose. Well, let's put it to the test then, shall we?" Just then, Orochimaru opened his mouth and shot out his tongue toward Jiraiya's neck in hopes of strangling him. Suddenly, just as the tongue was about to wrap around his neck, Tsunade grabbed it and clinched it tightly in her fist. She, then, tugged on it hard, sending Orochimaru flying toward them. Following up on the attack, she took the tongue and began to swing Orochimaru over her head high in the air. "I'll rip this tongue out of your mouth," she yelled, still swinging him. Orochimaru, unable to talk back at the moment, started to form hand seal. While forming the hand seals, Orochimaru shot out the Kusanagi sword from his mouth and toward Tsunade, making her let go of his tongue just in enough time to dodge it. "Niece, Tsunade, I forgot how monstrous you are with your strength," said Orochimaru with a smirk on his face as he finished the sequence of hand seals. With a wave of his hand, suddenly, wind shot from him and toward Tsunade. Great breakthrough technique. He then landed on a building some distance away from the administration building. "These winds are strong, it's making it hard to breathe," thought Jiraiya. Suddenly, Jiraiya formed a set of hand seals, Kuchio's no Jutsu. He s his palm forcibly on the ground, summoning Gamabunta on the ground behind him, tall enough that only his upper body scaled the building. "Oil! Gamabunta!" shouted Jiraiya. Knowing he was in the midst of a battle, he nodded to Jiraiya, saving any wisecracks or remarks for later. He took a deep breath and shot oil toward Orochimaru. Acting quickly, Jiraiya formed a C with his hand, using the index and the thumb, and placed it in front of his mouth and blew, Kaiten, Gokakyu no Jutsu. Combining his fire attack with Gamabunta's oil to make the toad oil flame bullet technique. As the giant fire blast raced toward Orochimaru, the wind from the great breakthrough technique only made it stronger and bigger, coming closer and closer to Orochimaru. Seeing absolutely no way to dodge the giant ranged fire blast, Orochimaru quickly bit his thumb and formed hand seals, then thrusted quickly his hand to the ground. "Kuchio's no Jutsu," he shouted as a Rashomon demon gate emerged from the ground in front of the building he was on and blocked off the fire blast. Suddenly, Tsunade, having used Jiraiya's fire attack as a diversion, ran up behind Orochimaru and threw a punch toward his head. Sensing this quickly, however, Orochimaru ducked out the way of the punch and flipped back away from Tsunade and performed the Shadow Snake Jutsu. Nevertheless, Tsunade charged toward the three snakes coming at her. She quickly took off her green overshirt and waved it at the snakes' heads, ensiling them in it. Once that was accomplished, she continued to rush at Orochimaru. Once in range, she threw a series of punches and kicks at him, in which he did best to dodge. She threw yet another punch in which it grazed Orochimaru's cheek slightly. Afterwards, she lifted up her leg and swung it down to Orochimaru's shoulders. Orochimaru quickly sidestepped out the way of the kick coming down and lounged out his tongue to grab it. Once the tongue was tightly wrapped around her leg, he motioned his head in which his tongue picked up Tsunade by her leg high into the air and began to swing her. From afar, Jiraiya observed Tsunade being swung and looked down and saw the Kusanagi sword that Orochimaru lounged at them before. Jiraiya picked the legendary sword into his hand. Tsunade, heads up. He yelled in warning her to stay alert for the sword, then sharply threw the sword as hard as he could. The now airborne sword continued on its path towards the tongue and without a moment's notice, the sword see through Orochimaru's tongue, freeing Tsunade. Darn that Jiraiya! Shouted Orochimaru as he returned the tongue back to his mouth while looking up at Tsunade, making his eyes widened at what she was about to do. Orochimaru, you're through, she shouted as she descended from the height with her leg high up, preparing for the painful sky leg technique. Exclaimed Orochimaru seeing Tsunade fall straight towards him with the super strength leg attack aimed at him. Boom! Tsunade's painful sky leg attack struck the building's rooftop, crumbling it and causing it to cave in. Orochimaru had quickly juked to the side once again, avoiding the attack but fell to the lower room of the building due to the roof caving in. Both Tsunade and Orochimaru landed on their faces on the floor in the room of the building, surrounded by rubble that used to be the ceiling and roof. Orochimaru and Tsunade both slowly rose to their feet, recovering from the fall and stared each other down while breathing somewhat hard. My. Look at yourself, Tsunade. You've proven to be more destructive than my whole army, taunted Orochimaru. You're going down, Orochimaru. Count on it, said Tsunade as she spotted the Kusanagi sword sticking up from the floor next to her. This is quite interesting. I've KA Hokage before. Now, I'll have to KA you, Tsunade Hokage. Orochimaru taunted evilly once again, staring back at Tsunade as they both stood in the roofless and killingless room on the highest floor. Tsunade reached down and gripped the handle of the sword and picked it up, and I'll beat you. As Hokage, she shouted triumphantly, then threw the Kusanagi straight for Orochimaru's head, in which he moved his head off to the side in avoiding it, still see a few of his hairs off. The sword continued to fly and broke through the building's walls and out of it to where it finally stopped by the Rashomon gate. Retaliating, Orochimaru extended his neck and flung his head toward Tsunade in attempts of biting her. Tsunade evaded the head of Orochimaru and quickly dashed toward him while winding up a powerful punch. Once in range, she pulled back her fist and punched Orochimaru in the stomach. The pain shot up Orochimaru's neck, making him return his neck back to normal. This, however, did not stop Tsunade. She continued to punch Orochimaru in the stomach numerous times in a combo. Orochimaru stumbled back as he clinched over, holding his stomach in extreme pain. He looked up slowly with grinning teeth to endure the pain and saw Tsunade standing in front of him with her arms to her side. You doomed yourself the second you targeted Konoha with me as its Hokage, she said, looked down at the hunched over Orochimaru. She then lifted up her right hand and placed as much of her chakra that she had left into it to the point that it started to glow with blue chakra. Grr! Orochimaru growled with anger. As a last attempt of attacking her, he opened his mouth as a surprise attack and extended his head once more to attack her and bite her, but it didn't get far as Tsunade ducked the head and threw Orochimaru high into the air and out of the building, flying over the Rashomon gate and straight for Jiraiya, who was talking with Gamabunta. Here he comes, on cue, said Gamabunta, seeing Orochimaru soaring straight to them. Quote. Just like Tsunade said. My turn, said Jiraiya as he pulled his hand down to the side and formed a Rasengan. Orochimaru continued to fall straight for Jiraiya and, once in range, Jiraiya caught Orochimaru with the Rasengan to his stomach. Rasengan! Shouted Jiraiya. Orochimaru shot from Jiraiya's arm and twirled like all victims of the Rasengan did and hit the Rashomon gate so hard to the point it dented up, making Orochimaru stuck to it with his body imprint on the gate holding him. Jiraiya walked up to Orochimaru on the Rashomon gate. It's over. Orochimaru. Tsunade walked from the building that she and Orochimaru fought in and stood beside Jiraiya as they looked at a beaten Orochimaru. Elsewhere, Gaara, Kankuro, Temari, Chuji, and Shino stood together over a wasting away of Kimimura's defeated body. Hey! Naruto ran over to the ground and grinned. Hey, Naruto! Shouted Chuji. Hey! Said Temari and Kankuro with nice smile while Gaara simply turned his head to face Naruto. Hey, Naruto, said Shino. You guys took out that bone guy. Naruto said seeing Kimimuru's remains finishing blowing in the wind. Naruto, what happened to your arm? Asked Chuji seeing it look banged up and possibly broken. It's nothing. Just sprained it, answered Naruto still holding his wrist. Gaara walked close and looked at Naruto's arm. It's fractured, he said his usual way of speaking. Here. Gaara motioned his hand and a wad of sand wrapped around Naruto's arm and inked it to form a cast of sand. Try not to move it a lot. Naruto looked down at his cast of sand on his wrist and smiled at Gaara. Ah, thank you. That's much better, said Naruto letting go of his wrist now. We should get back to Kakashi-sensei and the others now. Right, let's go, said Shino. Gaara, Temari, Naruto, and Chuji all nodded and walked to meet up with Kakashi and the others. With Orochimaru defeated and taken by the Anbu, the rest of the S-ninjas were soon defeated and the invasion on Konoha was over. Kakashi-sensei, shouted Naruto. Kakashi turned his head and saw Naruto and the rest walking toward them. Ah, Naruto, are you okay? He asked seeing Naruto with a cast that Gaara made for him. Oh, yeah, I'm okay. But more importantly, where is Ero-sanin and Granny Tsunade? Oi, right here, replied Jiraiya as he and Tsunade walked over to them, leaving the Anbu to take care of Orochimaru and dispelling the Rashomon gate. What happened to Orochimaru? Asked Guy as Neji and Lee walked up to the group finally. He's being taken by the Anbu to jail as we speak, answered Tsunade. It looks like we stopped Orochimaru's plan, exclaimed Naruto as he lifted his hand in victory and jumped around a little. I told you to not move so much, said Gaara referring to Naruto's injury. This isn't time to sit back and wait for things to heal. This is time to celebrate. Yeah, exclaimed Naruto still jumping around. Tsunade smirked. Oh, I'm glad you brought that up, Naruto. As a matter of fact, it is a time to heal. Huh, Naruto said confused. What? We should be having fun now and celebrating and having a huge party. Iruka placed a hand on Naruto's shoulder. Look around, Naruto, where are you going to have a party at? Iruka said as he showed Naruto that the village was pretty much in ruin and that there was nowhere to have a party. Unless you want to have a party in a building full of rubble and debris. Or if you want to have a dance-off in some fire then by all means go ahead, joked Tanko. And don't worry if you have a party and the building starts collapsing on ya. It's all good. You'll just be buried alive is all. Don't let a little thing like dying while partying ruin your fun, Anko continued to joke as she laughed. Suddenly, everyone bursted out laughing at Anko's joke to Naruto, all but Naruto. Naruto looked over at the Sand siblings and saw Kankuro, Temari and even Gaara laughing. You too, Gaara, said Naruto having not seen Gaara laugh before. He then glanced over at Sakura, Sakura-chan, then saw Hinata laughing. Hinata, even you. He said then started laughing himself. Anko looked over at Gaara and saw him laughing. Hey. You're laughing. Of all the times to laugh, you laugh now. What didn't you laugh when we were having that bet? Huh. Geez. All those choirs of yours drove me up a wall. She said in a funny anime rage type of way. Anyways, people, everyone gather for a quick assembly, said Tsunade as she walked to the top of the administration building. After 10 minutes of gathering everyone in the village and helping them, they all surrounded the administration building. Atop the administration building stood Tsunade. Standing behind her was Jiraiya, a couple Junins and some Anbu members. She looked down to the many villages of Konoha as they flooded the streets, gathering to hear her talk. Once ready, Tsunade began the announcement. People of Konoha, the invasion has failed and we are still strong. Shouted Tsunade, then everyone began to cheer triumphantly. After the cheering out, Tsunade resumed, I am pleased to inform you that no one was killed during this invasion thanks to all the shinobis who fought against the S-ninjas and saved our people. Unfortunately, however, our beloved home has been trashed, so, we, as a whole, must work to rebuild. It'll take approximately 2 weeks to get all of this back to the way it was. Everyone must pitch in to help. Suddenly, in the crowd of people, Moans and groans of pain could be heard coming from Naruto as he began to hold his arm. Oh, I can't. My hand still hurts. See, looks like I can't help clean up. Naruto said out loud back to Tsunade as the crowd looked at Naruto. Naruto, just for that, you'll be doing most of the work. Shouted Tsunade down to Naruto with a smile. Ah man, said Naruto. The people of Konoha began to laugh at this and some cheered to hear Naruto will be doing most of the work. I do have some news of fun, however. After the 2 weeks of cleaning and rebuilding is done, there will be a party and everyone is invited. This party is going to be our first formal yet crazy ones ever, so dress up in your best. Everyone began to cheer once again. The party will take place in a new building that is going to be constructed. And yes, Naruto, you'll be doing most of the building of that building as well, Tsunade joked and chuckled. Are you serious? Come on, I can't do everything, shouted Naruto as everyone began to laugh once more. Oh, pipe down. There is going to be a surprise for you if you do it, said Tsunade back to Naruto. Naruto's eyes widened. A surprise. Naruto began to get excited. So, we will start the cleaning process in an hour. In this hour, everyone can recover and rest and get something to eat because it's going to be a long 2 weeks, finished Tsunade. And thus started the 2-week rebuilding period, and just as Tsunade stated, Naruto did most of the work as well as did most of the construction of the new party building. 2 weeks later. Phew, that was a long day, wouldn't ya say, guys? Said Naruto as he walked down the path at night that lead to his house with Sakura and Sasuke. It went by rather fast for me, said Sasuke as the moonlight shone and illuminated the area lightly. It probably only went slow for you, Naruto, because you had to do most of the work, stated Sakura with a smile, walking with her hands behind her back sweetly. I don't see why Granny Tsunade made me do mainly all the work anyway. I mean, come on. It's not fair, said Naruto. Well, maybe next time you'll learn to keep your mouth shut instead of faking things and complaining like a dork, said Sasuke. And besides, Naruto, you use Kichibunshiens to help yourself make it go by faster, said Sakura. HMPH, yeah, well, I don't care about all that because I'm going to get a surprise, said Naruto with a grin. I wonder what it is. Probably a restraining order, said Sasuke with a smirk, leading Sakura to chuckle from his joke. Yeah, laugh it up because when I get my surprise, I ain't sharing, said Naruto with a comeback. We're just playing, said Sakura with a smile. Yeah, lighten up a little, said Sasuke in a not caring way as the three passed in front of Naruto's house. Well, this is my stop. See you guys tomorrow, said Naruto with a wave. Bye, said Sakura smiling with a wave. Later, said Sasuke with a flicker of his hand. Naruto walked up on his porch and opened the door to his apartment. Once inside, he closed it behind him and turned on the lights. And just where have you been? Do you know what time it is? It's 11:30 p.m. That's what time it is, shouted Jiraiya in Naruto's face. Don't you know that there's an organization out there trying to get you? Shouted Iruka next to Jiraiya. What's with the yelling? And besides, we finished the rebuilding today. I'm tired. Must you two always do this? Said Naruto. It's fun, said Jiraiya as he and Iruka started to chuckle. And besides, it's true. You can't be strolling at night when people are after you, said Iruka. Yeah, said Naruto nonchalantly as he sat down on his couch and turned on his television. I know. Jiraiya sat on Naruto's recliner chair and Iruka sat on Naruto's other couch. I wonder what Granny Tsunade's surprise is, said Naruto. I know what it is, said Jiraiya with a sly smirk. You wanna know? Naruto shot up from his couch and looked at Jiraiya with a wide smile. Yeah, I wanna know. Tell me. Come closer, said Jiraiya as Naruto inched his ear closer to Jiraiya's mouth. He. Closer, said Jiraiya slyly and Naruto inched it even closer. I'm not telling, said Jiraiya as he bursted out laughing, leaving Naruto in an anime rage yelling at him. Iruka smiled at the two and watched the TV. Naruto walked back to his couch and laid down after yelling at his sensei. Don't worry, Naruto, you'll like it. Trust me, said Iruka. Oh yeah? I almost forgot. Here. Iruka reached into his pocket and pulled out a small jewelry box. It's your present for Hinata, remember? Oh yeah. I forgot about that, said Naruto, taking the necklace into his hand. That's right. I remember now. It was supposed to be her Valentine's gift at the Valentine's party. You can still give it to her. At the party tomorrow, said Jiraiya in a yawn. Naruto smiled. Cool. Then I will. What you think, eh? Naruto looked on with dumbfoundedness as he saw Jiraiya laid back in his recliner chair asleep and Iruka laid out of his other couch asleep as well. Naruto shook his head. Geez, and right when I was trying to get some feedback, said Naruto in a chuckle as got up and placed a blanket over both Jiraiya and Iruka, then went off to bed. During Sasuke and Sakura's walk after Naruto left. Are you happy to be back in Konoha? Asked Sakura looking up at the moon. It's alright I guess, said Sasuke in his usual way. It's not really that much different than where I was before. Sasuke-kun. I meant what I said about. You don't have to say anything. I know, said Sasuke with a slight smile on his face. Sakura kept up her stare at Sasuke as they walked together. Sasuke-kun. Oh, here, I got this for you, it was supposed to be a Valentine's Day present for you. Sakura pulled out a present box and gave it to Sasuke. Sasuke looked over at Sakura and gently took the box. Thank you. Sakura. Sasuke looked intently into Sakura's eyes. Sakura looked back into his as tears began to well up in her eyes. She lunged out towards Sasuke, engulfing him in a passionate hug. Sasuke-kun. I missed you. I still have the teddy bear you gave me, she said. Sasuke's slight smile turned to a more revealing one suitable to his personality. I missed you too. Sakura, said Sasuke as he placed his arms around her slowly, embracing her passionately in the moonlight. After a few more moments, Sasuke and Sakura finally made it to Sakura's house where Sasuke walked her to her doorstep. Sakura turned around and faced Sasuke, in which Sasuke smiled at her. So I'll see you at the party tomorrow, right? Said Sakura to Sasuke. Yeah, I'll be there. Gotta see what Tsunade got Naruto so he can shut up about it already, said Sasuke with a smile on still. Sakura chuckled. Well, I'll see you tomorrow then, said Sakura as she began to feel nervous in this situation. Good night, but before she could finish what she was going to say. Thank you, Sakura, for everything, said Sasuke as he began to start walking home himself. Good night, Sakura. Blushing madly, Sakura smiled sweetly. Good night, Sasuke-kun, and with that, she went in and closed the door behind herself. Sasuke, finally being back here after 2 years of being at Orochimaru's place, made it to his doorstep and walked in and was shocked at what he saw. What, in heaven's name, are you doing? Asked Sasuke with a weirded face. Guy and Rock Lee had turned Sasuke's apartment into a training area. Guy sat up from doing push-ups and Lee stopped his jumping jacks and both looked at Sasuke. We didn't know you were going to be back, so we turned your apartment into a training gym, answered Rock Lee. That's right, we turned it into the springtime of youth gym. Wanna train with us? Asked Guy with a sparkle in his teeth and a thumbs up. Alright, come Sasuke-kun. Let's have a spar match, said Lee with the same sparkle and thumbs up as Guy. Sasuke could only stand there and fathom how he would get them out of his apartment. Who trains at night? He thought to himself. I'm too tired to train. Just got back from cleaning. All the more reason to train, exclaimed Guy. After a hard day of rebuilding, training once you get home just makes you stronger, right Lee? Yes sir, replied Lee with a salute and fire in his eyes with determination. I think I'll pass, said Sasuke as he continued to stare on at the two bushy brows. The next day, Naruto awakened and sat up and removed the covers off of himself. He managed to lift himself off the bed and made his way downstairs to his living room. Still here I see, said Naruto seeing Iruka and Jiraiya both still sleeping. Listen you two, I have to go to the clothing store. She said we had to wear suits and I don't have one so I'll be gone for a while. Okay, said Naruto. Yeah, sure, said Jiraiya as he began to snore right after. Make sure you buy something nice, said Iruka in his sleep still. Geez you two, you can at least get up and do something. I guess it can't be helped. See ya later, said Naruto as he shut the door behind him and began his walk to the Konoha department store. Once outside, Naruto made his way to the department store, having seen a lot of people he knew water plants and running stores. It was indeed a bright, happy day. Once in the store, Naruto walked over to the suits area and looked at some suits with orange shirts. "What's up with you and orange?" came a familiar voice. Naruto looked over and saw his laziest friend, "Hey Shikamaru. What are you doing here?" he asked. "Same reason as you, buying a suit for the party," said Shikamaru. "Temari already bought her dress, so now she is out there conversating with Ino, Kankuro, Shino and Sai." "I see. I think I'ma get this one," said Naruto as he picked up the jacket for the suit and an orange undershirt. "Guess it can't be helped," said Shikamaru with a smile, placing a hand on Naruto's shoulders and chuckling. "Hey," came another familiar voice. "Hey Tenten," said Shikamaru with a friendly smile, "shopping for a dress too, eh?" "Neji doesn't want to wear one, but I think he should," said Tenten to Naruto and Shikamaru. "If I have to wear one, then he should too. I know what he means, though, it's troublesome," said Shikamaru. "Where is Neji?" asked Naruto. Tenten took a deep sigh. "He's in the changing room trying on a suit I picked out. He won't come out though." Naruto, Shikamaru and Tenten all walked over to the guys' changing room and Tenten yelled in to demonstrate what she means. "Neji, come on out," yelled Tenten. "Naruto and Shikamaru are here and they want to see you." "I don't like suits," said Neji from within the changing room. Suddenly, Chuji and Kiba walked out of the other changing room wearing suits. Kiba's suit was a white one that matched Akamaru's fur. He also had on a top hat and had a walking cane. Chuji wore a suit that had a black jacket and a red undershirt complete with dress shoes. "Oh hey guys, what you doing?" asked Kiba as he swung his cane and tipped his white top hat over one of his eyes as Chuji stood there beside him. "Neji won't come out of the dressing room," said Tenten. "Come on Neji, I bet you look really handsome. So don't be shy and just come out." Suddenly, Sai and Shino walked over to them. "How long has he been in there?" asked Sai. "For about 10 minutes now," replied Tenten. "Neji, come on out. Or else I'll bring Hiashi here too." "Alright, I'm coming," said Neji. The door slowly swung open dramatically, revealing Neji dressed in a light gray suit with a black undershirt and with black dress shoes. "See, you look good," said Tenten. "I don't know, looks like he's missing something," suggested Kiba. Try this," he said as he took off his white top hat and placed it on Neji's head. Naruto began to bust out laughing at the sight. Neji smirked and slid over to Naruto. "Think that's funny, huh? Laugh at this." Neji twirled and began striking Naruto's tenketsus. 2 palms. "Hey stop. 4 palms. Neji, I was Ju playin'. 16 palms. Ouch. Come on Neji. 32 palms. Alright, I give. Everyone began to laugh as Naruto fell to the ground in a goofy way. Getting back to his feet, "I was just joking. You look cool," said Naruto chuckling. "You guys are really something," said Kankuro as he and Gaara walked up to them. Gaara was wearing a black jacket suit with a red undershirt. "Hey there, Gaara," Shikamaru greeted them. "You're going as well." "Can't be helped. That woman challenged me to a rematch," said Gaara referring to Anko. "Good luck, maybe you'll win again," said Naruto. As the day went on, the night drew faster. At least it was time for the party. Naruto entered inside the newly built building with Jiraiya, who was wearing a white suit, and Iruka, who was wearing a brown suit. "Alright, ready, Naruto?" asked Iruka. "Yeah, let's get the party started," said Naruto, and with that, they all walked in. Inside was a very sophisticated big dance room crowded with a lot of people. Taking a few steps in, Naruto spotted a lot of people he knew already once again. Naruto looked over and in the corner, he saw Hinata standing there as a slow dance song played. He took out the necklace box and looked at it and began to think. "Don't think so much, Naruto," said Jiraiya as he nudged him over in Hinata's direction. "Go ask her to dance," said Iruka as he nudged him even more to Hinata's direction. "Alright," he said with a grin and walked over to Hinata. Meanwhile, Sasuke walked in with Sakura. Both dressed and looking appropriate for the occasion. "Wanna dance?" asked Sakura. "Sure," answered Sasuke with a smile as he took her hand gently and led her to the dance floor and danced along with the many other couples there. "Neji, I told you to wear the suit, not the jacket over your original clothes," said Tenten with a sigh. "I don't like suits," said Neji. "Wanna dance?" You dance? Asked Tenten surprised. Neji, just then, took Tenten by the hand and twirled her, then dipped her very smoothly like a professional. You'd be surprised, he said with a smirk. Hey Hinata, you look beautiful, said Naruto as he finally walked up to her. Thank you. Naruto-kun, said Hinata. Oh, I forgot to give you this. It was supposed to be your Valentine's present. I guess I forgot to give it to you. Sorry, said Naruto as he handed her the box that held the necklace within it. Hinata took the small box and opened it, her eyes widened. Naruto-kun. Why you got it for me, she said amazed. Naruto took Hinata by the hand and smiled. Hey, let's dance Hinata, said Naruto with his warm smile and led a blushing Hinata to the dance floor. Once they got on the floor, Naruto gently walked closer to Hinata. He then took his hands and gently grabbed Hinata's arms and wrapped them around his neck. He then put his hands upon her hips, causing Hinata to blush even more. I'm glad I'm here with you, Hinata. Naruto said face to face with Hinata. Still blushing, Hinata looked up at Naruto and stared into his eyes deeply. I'm glad. I'm here. 2. Naruto-kun. Naruto looked back into her eyes with the same warm smile as always. Hinata looked back into his, not knowing her face was drawing closer to his. Naruto-kun, she moved her head back in fear that Naruto didn't like her. Naruto-kun. But before she could finish, Naruto connected his lips with hers, in a embracing K as they slow danced. Naruto drew back head away from Hinata and smiled with a slight blush. Hinata blushed deeply and gave up her shyness in that moment as she embraced Naruto in a loving hug. Everyone else sat around drinking punch and partying, telling jokes and smiling, having a good time. All the Junins also had their share of fun. Kakashi read his book as the rest stood talking. Temari pulled on Shikamaru's arm in attempt to get him to dance. Yamato finally made it to the party after being gone for so long on a S-rank mission. He sat at the table with Kakashi. Still reading that book I see, said Yamato. Yeah, dancing's not my thing, said Kakashi. I knew you'd say that, so I brought someone who wants to dance, and I know how you can't say no to a girl, Sue, said Yamato as the ramen girl, in a beautiful dress, walked to their table. Come on Kakashi, let's dance, she said excited as she dragged Kakashi to the dance floor. Yamato laughed hard, looked at the sight, then picked up Kakashi's book and began reading, getting into it rather quickly. Rock Lee and Guy made their way to the party as well. They walked over to the table with Yamato. Hey there Yamato. Life Traiton ya good. Where's Kakashi? Asked Guy. Yamato manged to lift up his head to reply, dancing. Dancing. Guy looked over to the dance floor seeing Kakashi dancing. I won't lose to you Kakashi. I'll beat you in dancing too, he said with determination, thinking it was another challenge. He walked over to Kurenai and grabbed her by the hand and led her to the dance floor without asking her to dance and began dancing with her next to Kakashi and the ramen girl, all the while, staring at Kakashi with a "I'm not going to lose to you" look in his face, leaving Kurenai to dance with an anime sweet drop. Gaara escorted Anko and they danced and drank punch together. She did her best to make him laugh and smile to win the bet, but no such luck. Anko didn't win the bet this time, either. Sasuke and Sakura finally sat down from dancing and drunk some punch together. Seeing this, Rock Lee walked over to them and extended his hand to Sakura. Hello Sakura-san. Sasuke-kun. Sakura-san. May I have this dance? Said Lee with an honorable bow. Sakura looked up at Lee and smiled. Sure, she said sweetly and went off to dance with Lee after smiling back to Sasuke. Ino, shortly afterwards, walked over to Sasuke. Hey. Sasuke-kun. Wanna dance? Sasuke looked at Ino and smiled. Sure, he said agreeing, making Ino blush and happy. Hey everyone. How about a picture? Said an ordinary Junin. Sure, said Naruto as he and Hinata walked over to them. Come on, Neji, let's get in the picture, said Tenten. Must we? Neji said, not wanting to take it. Yeah, now on 3, say Konoha. Ready. 1, 2, 3. Konoha. Everyone shouted as they Junin took the picture. Now let me get a picture with all the girls now, said the Junin with the camera. All the girls got together and took a picture. Now let me get all the guys in one now, said the camera Junin. All the guys got together. Do I have to? Yes Neji, now come on, said Kiba. And the all-guy picture was taken. Walking over to Naruto shortly after, Tsunade placed a hand on his shoulder. Naruto. Naruto turned and saw Tsunade wearing her red Hokage hat. Granny Tsunade, why are you wearing the Hokage hat? I thought you only wear that when you're doing Hokage business. Tsunade smiled and took her hand to take off the hat. Here is your surprise, Naruto, said Tsunade as she placed the Hokage hat upon Naruto's head. Naruto's eyes widened, he was at a loss for words. She gave him the Hokage hat, this could only mean one thing. You're making me Hokage. Yay. Naruto began bouncing around the room with joy. Hokage. Hokage. I'll be the best Hokage there ever was. Now wait just a second, Naruto. It's only for a week. I want to see how you act when seen as the leader of a village, said Tsunade. After the week, I'm back as Hokage. Hokage for a week. Data bio. Alright. I'll be the best Hokage for a week there ever was. Exclaimed Naruto. Everyone cheered and clapped at Naruto's promotion for a week, making Naruto happy for the first time. He was living his dream and everyone was acknowledging him. Yeah, shouted Naruto as he threw a fist triumphantly into the air. That will be all for this video. Be sure to like, subscribe, share, and comment down below for more videos. Goodbye.